Well, a lot of people are talking about meditation lately, and I think it could be interesting to be able to talk a little bit more deeply about what meditation really is, what it entails, and why it might be useful for you. And at the same time, to go deeper and see meditation not only in its aspect as a technique, but also as a way of life, as a way of viewing your own life, which I think is the ultimate invitation of what meditation really entails. So, on the first aspect, why do we need a technique to meditate? Well, basically, our minds are filtered, are programmed by by a certain conditions that filter the way that we view reality in a very specific way, and mostly coded towards the survival of the organism, so biological survival, which means that the reality that is out there is much wider than what we can actually see. And what we actually see is not only quite limited, but also very much biased towards negativity, because that is what makes our sort of body, mind be alert and possibly be more protected against threats that might arise in our environment. But this is not a formula to be happy. And so if we wish to really be at peace and happy, we must be able to do something to train our minds. This is something that won't happen naturally through just Darwinian evolution. We'll have to wait a long time, many generations, until our minds adapt to the point in which they really work, for our benefit in the environments in we are currently living, which are environments in which our physical safety are not really threatened almost any time, and therefore do not require the sense of alertness that we live mentally and therefore physically, because they are related in our day to day. So, in terms of this technique of training our minds, well, there's so many different ways, but meditation is truly something that can have a very strong impact. And it's been seen already. I mean, we see it all around us, but it's also been relatively proven by science already in quite a few studies that are very solid. One of the last ones I looked into talks about the effects of meditation after, I think, 8 weeks of only 20 minutes or 15, 20 minutes of meditating every day, around 20 minutes, I think, 20, 15, 25 minutes. And basically, you can see how parts of the brain really literally change in terms of shape. So, and definitely in terms of functioning, in terms of the synapses and the communications that they have between their different aspects. So, for example, the amygdala, which is a part of the brain that's in the middle right there, the size of the nut or something like that, is a part of our brains that creates this sense of fight or flight. So this unconscious sense of um, almost anxious alertness to be able to protect ourselves from dangers. It's so overactivated in the times that we live. We don't need it to be so activated. So this generally through meditation in this study in 8 weeks, and in general you just see this, it atrophies. So we don't need to be so alert all of the time. We don't need to be so prone to anxiety and stress. At the same time, the energy is taken somewhere else, and we grow a lot on the prefrontal cortex area, for example, where we develop more and more the ability to be able to focus and hone in like a laser on certain thoughts and be able to truly just stay with them. At the same time, empathy is here, so we're able to feel more what we have inside, and this is amazing because it allows us to feel others as well much more. And this is so useful in our day and age, to be a good leader, to be able to negotiate, to have, to be a good family member, a good friend, and just to flourish as a human being, to be able to tap into this wealth of information that we are given on a felt level, on a sentimental level, that I think most human beings haven't really made that jump yet, and we're so stuck in our minds that we're missing this other part that's absolutely essential to truly take in everything that life has to offer. So, at the same time, this beyond science, we've seen a lot of leaders that are doing this right now. Some of the main CEOs today are meditating, and they do it for many different reasons. Some of them aren't so deep. Some of them are just to be able to be more productive. This paradox of being able to be more productive by being able to stop 15 minutes a day and not do anything. And some of the most busy people in the world have found that. I'm sure that those of us with an agenda that is a little bit less tight would find the same benefits, right? I mean, it only makes sense. But beyond that, meditation could go so much deeper. It can really take us into ways that are of viewing our lives that are much more imbued with a sense of peace, purpose, centeredness. this is definitely my experience. And in the 10 years or so that I've been meditating, already my mind has completely changed. I see life in a absolutely new way, and it's amazing. Honestly, it's created so much depth within my view of life, and at the same time, I feel I'm only starting, which is incredible to imagine just the possibilities that might be awaiting in the future. So, since it's not so easy to be able to just well let our thought, our programmed mind just not run the show. Meditation is such a great tool. So as a technique, what we would do is there's different types of meditation, but we can divide these in two main blocks. And the first one has to do with meditation of concentration. Usually, it's what most people dedicate sometimes many, many years, sometimes lifetimes to. So at first, I would say that that would be the place to start. And that means to be able to concentrate on something. So we have all of these thoughts, all of these emotions, and basically to define meditation in a very simple way, it's the act of stopping and just listening, just observing, what am I thinking, what am I feeling right now, and trying not to engage in the automatic processes that our mind is going to make us comply with, in a sense, which is something is wrong here, you have to improve this, go forward, act towards a better future. Basically, meditation and all contemplative practices actually allow us another way. And maybe just by being so tired already of always trying to find this better future that never truly arises, of this sense of never being satiated, well, possibly then meditation can offer this counterpart, and that is that if you allow certain things to just be, and you don't meddle with them, you don't judge them, there might be a way in which you can see those same things in a manner, in a light, in which what seems so erroneous isn't really like that, and actually you can actually see it, that it's much more perfect and fulfilling than you could have imagined, right? So this is really something that meditation, I think, goes for. It's the possibility to see beyond this programmed mind that's saying that everything is basically a threat to our survival. So that we can really survive biologically, we need to be alert to all of these menaces and threats, and even invent them, and to go beyond them, because knowing that we're at an age in which our physical body isn't really so threatened anymore, and that it's going to take many, many generations to evolve into a mind that takes into account our true situation today, which is that we live in a state of physical well-being that doesn't need so much alertness, that doesn't need so much danger, alertness at all times. And so we are able to, maybe through meditation, uh, start to let go of that compulsivity, this stickiness of thoughts that try and bring us always constantly into whatever it is that they're trying to tell us, always biased around this programming, therefore to be able to see things in a different light. So since it's not easy to just stop and see all of these thoughts bombarding us with old belief systems, with ways of viewing life that are based on biological imperative, on beliefs that we've inherited by others, by our families, etc., etc. Since it's not easy, because we have such powerful minds that are not stopping, constantly there, offering us thoughts, seducing us into their worlds. Well, then in terms of technique, the concentration meditation is a way in which we can focus on some object. It can be the breathing, it can be something that's visual, it can be a sound, etc. And by focusing on something, we can maybe in a more easier way allow everything else to become more background noise, in a sense. So there's so many ways of meditating in that sense. You can meditate eating, you can meditate walking, you can meditate in many different ways. But one of the most sort of common formal ways at the beginning is to meditate by just closing your eyes and closing all external, let's say, influences, so that we can really see more inside, and in that sense amplify what's going on inside, to be able to understand those mechanisms, and see them sort of come up more clearly. On the second hand, the second type of meditation, which is quite useful in usually after having developed a certain power of concentration, is what is called the insight meditation, or vipassana. The first one is called samatha in certain Oriental circles in India, etc. And vipassana or insight meditation basically is another concept. It's basically, instead of focusing on something very specific, I open up completely like a screen and I allow everything to just be there at the same time. But I don't give extra credit or extra importance to one thing versus another. I rather open myself to everything at the same time. And that's not easy. And that's why at first it's important to be able to develop concentration, because there's some things that really pull us one way or the other. No? But at the same time, this does allow us to open up to this other side of meditation, which is not meditation as a technique, but meditation is just a way of viewing life, a way of seeing things that is um, sort of constant in our day to day, regardless of if we are active or not active. So, I think this is meditation in this sense is a deep invitation to just deeply engage and understand what our life is and what is going on in this experience of being a human being. To do that without the automatic pilot, without all of those defense mechanisms, to truly launch ourselves and look deeply into what's happening and live that life that's being given to us in every moment, is basically, I think, the deep invitation of meditation. And this implies different levels of activity for different people. So some people, for example, might have, I mean, I think there's a polarity between being and doing, in which all people somehow find some gradient. I think that as a society, we've gone very much towards doing, and we must learn to try and complement a little bit more towards being. Some people a lot more, some people a little bit more. But in any case, this aspect of being, which meditation offers as one exercise and later on as a way of viewing life, is quite essential, I think, for the times that we are currently living. And if you haven't started to meditate yet, I really would encourage you to start and to attempt it and try. There's so many different ways of doing it. I will try and post some guided meditations in the future so that you can do it in this channel if you wish. But there's also apps and there's also things that you can do. You can also, if you wish to learn more deeply, get in touch with me in my website, rodrigoaguirredecarcer.com. I think it'll be in the channel because it's so hard to spell, I guess, in English. And yeah, I can also help you out there. But I think the important part is just to stop for an instant and dedicate some of your time to really experiencing, is this for me or not? And that way you'll be able to really know, beyond all the hype and everything that everyone is talking about, what is my true opinion about meditation? And moreover, have I been able to tap into something that so many people vouch for as a very potent technique to be more at peace, to be more resilient within these uncertain times, and see if I can truly make it to something that is to my benefit. I wish you the best on this journey, and I hope that you can encounter some of these amazing benefits that I have felt during these years that literally have changed the way that I view my life in every single aspect.